First couple of sort of few seconds to go for market open. We look at the indices as we always do before we get to stocks. And I think, we have the first rates coming up on our screens, a 0.25% higher, 25,030. And the Bank Nifty starting absolutely flat, so no change. 51,850 or so on the Nifty Bank. Okay, now starting to move a little bit. 51,875. The Nifty is now flattish as well. What do we have in the IT services index? Infosys reports today about 1/3% higher on the IT index. Advanced decline is some 2:1 just out of the gates. So we'll see. But look at the market breadth. It's 30 up and 20 down, roughly. So it's more up than down right now. 33 points on the Nifty, just around the 25,000 mark at market open. Survey.
So quiet, right? Let's take a look at some of the key movers and shakers, starting first with L&T, the stock that Vivek just put on our radar. That's a big one. He's talking about orders from NTPC for these boiler generators, a traditional segment that L&T stayed away from. The value could be 25 to 30,000 crores. So L&T is up about 1%. Infosys is approaching those numbers like a statesman, 1% higher. Hindalco, up and about as well. But the stock of the morning has to be Bajaj Auto. Look at the reaction come through. 7% down. The market has chosen to look at A, the fact that gross margin has slipped, and B, the alerts coming in from the festive season, as Sudarshan was telling us, that the first 2 weeks are not looking that hot for Bajaj Auto. And it's anyway coming off a very, very strong rally. Big cut coming through. Bajaj Auto has taken Hero Moto down with it. 4% lower. There's Eicher down 1.5%. M&M, Maruti, that's the big story of the morning. Auto is skidding and sliding in a big way. Let's see if this stabilizes. The other weak hands include an HDFC Bank, Britannia, Kotak Mahindra Bank, Lever. Some of the consumer and banking names are also on the weaker side. On the upside, like I mentioned, L&T is the one stock. The others include Hindalco, Sun Pharma, and Reliance. Remember, we were talking about this. Nigel also mentioned it. I also highlighted how the bonus issue could keep things excited for Reliance, and that's exactly what's going on, 1% up. So it's interesting, Nigel. I mean, between Reliance, ICICI Bank and Infosys, it's a nice counterbalance, because otherwise there's a massive slide on the entire auto pack.
Well, that's right, because the two-wheeler makers are all under pressure post Bajaj Auto's numbers. You have Hero MotoCorp is down 4%, Eicher Motors as well as down close to around 2%, and TVS Motors as well as down close to around 3%. So Bajaj Auto's commentary has made all these three, two-wheeler majors a little bit nervous. Well, the one that's doing well is L&T. Vivek had told us about that source-based information. I'm looking at a sales note as well that came in early this morning that concurs with that, with regard to Larsen being L1 in a couple of bids out there. The total size could be 25,000 to around 30,000 odd. Emphasis, that's the one that's flying away. As I mentioned earlier, there were some shots that got crept into the system yesterday towards the end of close, and the numbers ain't that bad. In fact, the commentary was quite good, so that's why that stock is up close to around 4%. The other one we pointed up earlier today was Nalco. So irrespective of what's happening in the metal pack, Nalco is doing much better. Alcoa's numbers were very strong, and the commentary they made was particularly on the alumina business. And the alumina global markets are in deficit and holding at around $600 per ton. That's good news from Nalco, because it's a direct beneficiary on that front. So that explains why that's one of the top gainers in today's session. SRF, UBS downgrade is plaguing that one. 2.5% lower. So a flattish start, Prashant.
Absolutely. And, it's on the index, it's not very much, right? It's just about 10-12 points down. But, where we've seen a 8% cut in Bajaj Auto, right? I mean, that I think is straight off the bat, the big one. And it's, by the way, it's coming down on volumes. It's the number one volume traded loser on the NSE. And the number two is Hero MotoCorp with that 4% cut. And the number three is M&M with a 2% cut by volume, sorted by volume. So this is quite something. Now, I'll just, TVS, by the way, is also not to be left behind. TVS is down 4%, and it's within the top 5 volume ranks on the downside. So, yeah, I mean, the entire auto space coming in for some serious selling. Now, KEI lost about 5-6% yesterday after numbers where the management is down another 4% today, this morning, 41.95 on KEI. Trent was down 4%. Trent, by the way, on the Nifty was a top loser. Trent is down another 1.5% this morning. Eicher, okay, another auto name. So Eicher is down about 2% as well, 45.82. Polycab is down about 1%. So this is some of what is starting lower with the volumes. On the upside, I mean, Emphasis we did highlight, but look at CRISIL go. CRISIL is up 8%, 7%, and it's the number 2 volume-led gainer coming through straight off. So 51.30 or so on CRISIL, and large volumes to back that up. SW Solar has been coming off the lows. I mean, the recent low was 550, already left off at about 610 yesterday. Like yesterday, it's starting 2.5% higher, but we'll see. Yesterday, of course, ended limit up 5%. South Indian Bank is, I can spot 2.5 higher. Kolte Patil, I think Nigel mentioned, 9% higher, 427 on Kolte Patil. IFB Industries was up 15% yesterday. It's up another 3.5% this morning. And you can go down, but then volumes start to thin out. So we'll, I guess, wait for a little bit more and look at what's happening volume-wise. Surabhi.
You know, I'm just going back to a conversation that we had with Mr. Rakesh Sharma. I think it was after the last sales numbers. Remember, we were talking about competitive intensity in the market. The issue with Bajaj Auto is the market's not happy with the margin decline. That gross margin has slipped by over 100 basis points. And if you look at brokerage commentary, that's what most people are pointing out. And I go back to that conversation because when we asked him about competitive intensity and, you know, how they're really taking the battle right to Ola in the two-wheelers, in the electric two-wheeler space. By the way, two-wheelers, electric two-wheelers plus CNG all put together are 40% of Bajaj's total sales. I remember his quote, right? That if others are coming with guns, we won't go in with that battle with a knife, right? I'm not sort of just trying to put context to things that this is a margin issue. And that's really weighing on the stock this morning.
Also, I think at the margin, it's not helped, right? If you look at the last many months, if you simply just take out every month what is retail sales and what are wholesale sales for the industry, there's a very large difference, which means that there is a lot of inventory at dealerships, getting out of the factory, going to dealerships, but retail sales are not keeping track with wholesale. So, you know, that's, I think, the other sort of fear, but it really needs to fire this festive season, and we'll see if that happens or not.